Where City have had their joint fewest shots in the Premier League this season, the same as Palace and Villa. Of course, we went on to win one of those and lose one of those games. So it is half-time 0-0. Welcome back to the Matchday Live studio. I'm joined by Shaun and by Nedum. Nedum, give us your assessment of the first 45.
I think it's probably as tough as we would have expected if you've kept an eye on Sunderland so far this season. Like this type of games we said before the show, like they're arriving as an underdog, but a side with quality organisation, but also speed and transition. I think that's something in my mind that's changed so much across the years, is that you might be able to have a team that will have a low block, be really tight and compact, but they won't have the attacking threat. But instead, with Broby, with Adingra, with Hume, with Mayenda, they're really committing bodies forward as well. But as soon as they lose the ball, they're getting straight back in. So City having to break down a very solid block. And there've been one or two opportunities City have had, and maybe a couple of bounces haven't gone their way. But as I say, this is the game that I would have expected, in just a case of, can City make sure that they don't overcommit in the second half and trying to push, because Sunderland will be ready to go forward.
Shaun, what have you made of it?
Yeah, I would agree with that. In terms of overcommitting, I think City at times when the ball's going in the box need to get more bodies in the box. Obviously, Erling Haaland's in there, but having 2 or 3 more bodies creates more space. As a striker, you're just wanting another player to be around you where you can go and make a run, where it creates trouble for them. So City need to get more bodies in the box when we're getting those crosses. I think for me the game's been transitional. I think certainly Pep wouldn't be happy with that. It plays into Sunderland, how Sunderland want the game to go, all this transition, them having the ball, us having the ball, them having the ball. I think there's times obviously when we've had it and we try to control it, but having a lot more control will benefit us, because again, they're transitional, they're able to go, as Nedum said, be able to break and create these attacks. And when they create those attacks, the crowd are into it, the crowd are on their feet, the jeering and everything. So we certainly need to make sure that when we get the ball forward, yes, we're attacking, but making sure we don't overcommit in terms of bodies going forward as well.
There's a lot of comments on YouTube at the minute praising Savinho's first half performance, which is something you'd said to me just minutes ago. You were impressed what he did in that first half.
Yeah, I think he's had the beating, they say the fullback or the wing back, because at times they're like a 5 and a 5. Yes, the striker is at a point, probably. He's at a point, but he's also very deep, as in you could almost say he's like a midfielder. So they're like 2 banks of 5. And so with that, the only space, or very little space, will be a wide. And Savinho's got the beat. He's got the beat of him 2 or 3 times. But when he's delivered that ball, we're looking in the box and we're seeing Erling Haaland. And we're like, Erling Haaland will have a man on him, marking him. But there's also players in and around spaces. So I think we need to get more bodies in and around that can cause a little bit more upset this from Sunderland's point of view, disrupt them a bit.
OK, let's go back over now to the Stadium of Light, to Michael Brown and to FG.
Welcome back to the Stadium of Light, half-time, Manchester City 0, Sunderland 0. The players are warming up behind us. I'm thinking about going for a jog myself. Interesting first half, not really much tempo. Bit cold, isn't it, Brownie?
Well, that's a bit cold, we've got to get used to it. But you know what they did? They waited, Sunderland, they were patient, and then they turned it around very quickly. They were quick on the counter, much braver than what we normally sort of consider against us, because they went back to front quickly. We've seen that one with Brian Broby where he went right over the top. You keep laughing in case I say Blobby, but I don't. I say Broby. I said it in commentary, but you had me concerned. But he held off Ruben Diaz, got hold of him by the shirt, got a shot away. Donnarumma did well. We had a scare early, didn't we, with Nathan Ake? That was a real sort of worry.
And then
I'm glad he's come
we had
through
another
it.
scare with Nico Gonzalez as well. I mean, how much does that show about the character of our team as well? Because both players went down. We saw Josko Vardiol get stripped.
I think there's an interesting one there, isn't it? Rodri just coming out right here now.
Well.
But he looks a little bit more game ready, so we could see him back. We want to see him, but as I said in commentary, not to the detriment of somebody else. We want him to come on in a natural situation to get minutes, get back up to speed. It's great to see him in and around the pitch with a chance of coming on. But we haven't created enough, have we? That chance with Bernardo Silva, which was offside position, he thought he was on. Just that back foot when we got to see it again. But we need a little bit more. It was a great move, wasn't it, with the one with Foden. Pulled it back, Erling Haaland right-footed into the goalkeeper. They've pushed and are really being a test. You can see why they're doing well here.
Yeah, you absolutely can. The atmosphere is good. They really roll them on every time they get the ball. But from a City's perspective, like you said, we need to up it ever so slightly, which we've seen Manchester City do really well in the second half this season. I mean, they won't be too disappointed going in at 0-0 right now, because there's still 45 minutes to play. We've got some fantastic players on the bench as well, like you mentioned. but we do need to do a little bit more in that final third.
But you've got to see what the test is that you're up against, and then as a collective, as a staff, you sort of say, right, we'll shift a few little things. We might be a bit quicker. We might have some midfield runs in behind. I'll try and test them a little bit quicker. Now we've had a look at what they're going to bring to us. So it's set up nicely, I think, for a strong second half. They're going to do well to keep this tempo.
Yeah, they are indeed. Let's head back to the studio. I'll let you head all the way up, hopefully get a little bit warmer. I think there's some pies in there at half-time, not like me and Callum have just had one before we came out, but let's head back to the studio. Hope you guys are doing well.
We are okay, thank you, FG. We are okay. Thank you so much to FG and to Michael Brown. Half-time, and it is 0-0. At least we are nice and snuggly and we are warm, although Brownie does look like he's thawed out just a little bit there as well. So some of the other key talking points from that first half, the way that Sunderland have handled Erling Haaland. So Mukiele, experienced player, was it PSG, Leipzig, Leverkusen? It's pretty much, in terms of this season Premier League defenders, it's up there with one of the performances against Erling Haaland that I've seen so far.
Yeah, it is. But I think it's, for me, because like for Mukiele, he has the support of Alderete to the side of him and Gertrude to support on the other side. So they can be super aggressive. I think when Erling has somebody who's potentially playing a bit closer to him, it forces the defenders to have to look at a different sort of game and make a decision. Do I go here? Do I go there? But I think because Erling is literally at the tip of it and he's looking to try and help the team by coming short to link up, for Mukiele, for example, you can go all the way with him. And it's not like go 50%, 60%. Yeah. You're giving everything. And to add to that, the likes of Granit Xhaka are doing a back press to where they're coming from in front of Haaland while he's coming from behind him as well. So it's been very, very impressive because everything Erling's had to do essentially for that first half has been under pressure. And we're talking about the Premier League, these are some of the best players. But players not every player is as good when the pressure is on them. So I think for Mukiele, for Alderete, for Gertrude at times, they know that every time Erling goes short, you've got license from the manager to go all the way with him. And as a consequence, it's making it so much harder for Erling. And there's been some good touches in some ways. But, you do it once, you do it twice, you win the ball a couple of times and 50,000 people are screaming saying, yeah, that's brilliant. You're going to keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it and build your confidence. Yeah,
I'll just pick up on your point. From a tactical point, I think Erling Haaland is receiving balls, but he's trying to receive balls closer to the halfway line. And you're absolutely right. When they go short, they're doing them from the front and the back. But I think actually one of the tactics could actually be him just going another 10, 15 yards shorter and then missing him for someone like Foden running through. So it's bypassing him and getting that runner. These are the different things that the coaching staff will look at and say, well, because Erling Haaland has probably won 4 out of 10 balls that's going to him. So I think it's a case of either he either has to do better with staying in that position or perhaps they come a little lower, that they come with you, then it's their spacing behind. But then we need midfielders that are prepared to run in behind, and that could be just one direct ball over the top. And once you get one of those and score, all of a sudden they operate differently. So that could be some of the tactical decisions that could be made within Pep's team.
Haaland looking a bit frustrated at moments there towards the end as well, and I quite enjoy an angry Erling Haaland, so I'm looking forward to seeing what he does in the second half. In terms of the other end of the pitch, Broby and Ruben Diaz have been having a bit of a battle. There was a moment where Diaz went down, which looked fairly 50-50 to me as well, but have you enjoyed that battle?
I have, because I haven't seen many strikers, I wouldn't say get the battle. He hasn't got the battle of him, but I see having a bit of joy against Diaz because Diaz is a strong, powerful centre half, intelligent, and all of that. But he seems to have, when the balls, he's able to receive balls and hold them off with strength. And that shows me that he's really strong and powerful, because most times I see Diaz win their sort of battles when they go into strikers, that he's able to somehow overpower or read where the touch is going to go and nick it. But this is really interesting because he shows that he's got this power. So anything that goes into him down the sides, Diaz knows he has to be careful because he can't go too far on one side and commit because he'll get rolled. So it's an interesting battle, but Diaz is certainly will have to.
Yeah, it's really interesting, that battle, just because for me, like the different types of strikers in two sort of variations. There's some that seek space and some that seek contact. And Broby's somebody that seeks contact with his defender. And when he finds that contact, that's when he knows he's in control, because he's as strong as anybody in the league. And he's very good at manipulating his body and those around him. Like for the time where Ruben Diaz fell to the floor, Ruben will think it's a foul because Broby had his shirt.
Yeah.
But most people aren't going to see that.
Yeah,
most people aren't going to say anything about that.
Yeah.
So you've got to find a way to defend it. But now the psychological part, which I think will show what type of player that Ruben is, you're going out to play the second half against a player who's probably stronger than you and is going to continue to do the same thing. But your job is to stay with that player and deal with things 1v1. Some people take a step back to protect themselves, but for the sake of the team, he has to continue to step forward to a challenge which maybe doesn't necessarily suit him from a matchup standpoint, but could prove invaluable because, say, the tighter he gets, maybe win the ball back, City go in transition, City can score a goal.
I forget the name of the Forest striker from the last game. It's Thiago.
Igor Thiago.
It felt like a similar battle there. He was like a player that wanted to be close.
Yeah,
there was lots of moments between him and Diaz.
Yeah, like lots of players are different. You know what I mean? Like Shaun's the best person in the world to be talking about this. You know what I mean? But from a tendency standpoint, like if Brian Broby is on the halfway line and he can back into you, that's his game. He's in control of you. And there's certain players like that where you have to play with a little bit more nuance now, where they're trying to find you, you're not there, but maybe you arrive just when you need to be, instead of allowing them to pin you early. Because from that standpoint, then you're going to like to tell you a quick story if possible.
Please do.
One of the ones that was the best of that, who I played with, was a guy called John Carew. He's massive. He's like fridge freezer combo, enormous. And I remember playing with Micah when Carew was at Villa. I was playing right back, Micah was centre half, and Carew's running, and he's got Micah behind him. Micah tried to push him out of the way. I think Micah fell to the floor. Micah got up, tried to push him again, he fell to the floor. I was initially going over to support, and I went, I tell you what, I'm going that way. I fled that scene so fast and went to protect something else, because that was his game. And there's sometimes where you got to let people play their game and not try and think that you can play it better than them.
I love that story.
He's massive, John Carew, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. So it's interesting. Does Diaz get tight or does Diaz stay off him enough so when the ball goes into him, can he get around to win it? So this will be the interesting battle.
Okay, breaking news. We saw when we were at the Stadium of Light, in the background, Rodri was warming up. He is coming on for Nico Gonzalez. This will be Rodri's first minute since the 2nd of November in the Bournemouth game. I'm excited and nervous at the same time. Listen,
it's a heck of a game to come in for, you know what I mean? When City essentially have been for maybe the majority of that half on the back foot, but you're talking about one of the best midfielders in world football, and yes, he hasn't necessarily had the health and fitness that you would have hoped to have this season, but he would have been on the sideline for this game and all the other games in the last 2 months, desperate to get out there. So let's see what he's like. And I tell you what, at the end of the game, he's going to feel like he's played 90 minutes because it's going to be end to end. There's the cold up there. It is bitter. It is bitter. And the battle.
I just don't know if I don't know if this is the game for him to be coming back.
What game is the right game for him then?
Exeter in the FA Cup.
No.
I think this is the game for him. The reason being because they have most parties on a low block, so he'll have a lot of balls in and around him. Whether his back is to goal or whether it's actually facing goal or inside a pocket, I think he'd have a lot of the ball. So his ability to make great decisions, passing through lines, driving in space, keeping transition the ball from one side to the other.
Listen, yeah, I've totally agree. He's ultimately he's a winner, and he's going out there in a game to try and help his team win. He's been missing for essentially a year. This is a great opportunity for him to go, put his mark down, and begin what we've seen for City is historically some of the most important times of the year in any season that they play. This is perfect for him.
Yeah, okay. So what you're saying is we're lining it up for a Rodri masterclass, probably an assist, maybe an 18-yard strike.
Listen, that's what I'm hoping for, but if it ends up not being the Rodri game, then I'm sure the Rodri game is going to be coming many times over.
Are you sticking with your 3-2 prediction?
Well, I'm not seeing a 4-0, so
I'll stick with my
3-2. I'll stick with my 3-2, yeah. I think this is going to be a lot of goals itself.
So it's going to be a game of two halves is essentially what we are predicting. So we can see the Sunderland team that I think that I could see, well, yeah, they are coming out now. So we'll be back here at full time where hopefully we are talking about a Manchester City victory for the first day of the year. We're going to go back over now to the Stadium of Light. You're going to get your second half commentary on the City app if you're not currently watching on there with Alistair Mann and with Michael Brown.
Thanks, Nat. Sunderland players coming out. We were handed a piece of information saying that Rodri's coming on at half-time to replace Nico.